Death Spiral, the only anime podcast that has pre-selected its Criterion Closet picks. We got it out of the way because it's going to come any day now. The invitation is, I could smell it on the wind.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to get my little segment. I love those videos, man. I love watching the actors, the celebrities go in and pick out their favorite movies. I already got my top three, like, right on the top of my head. My Neighbor Totoro, that's number one, always. Then we've got Dumb and Dumber, Part 2. And, of course, you cannot have a Criterion pick without choosing a Christopher Nolan, am I right? So, of course, Inception is in there, although I'd pick all of them if I could.
Yeah, I never saw Dunkirk, I got to admit. Never saw it. Looked boring. That movie looked boring.
You know what? There aren't any World War I veterans left alive, to my knowledge, so I feel totally confident in saying, yeah, that shit looked boring. It was like, oh, what? You got to, like, run around during a war? Big deal.
That was a boring war anyway.
Yeah.
Who cares about that one? No one gives a shit.
People like the sequel better. That had real villains. It had narrative arcs. It had stakes. It had character. Who gives a shit about World War I?
Yeah, and then they really switched up the genre going into the Cold War. I mean, that was like an entirely new development. They really, that was something new that we hadn't seen before.
Very experimental, very art house.
Yes. And of course, and then kind of really gave way, like I constantly harp on. 9/11 just did a number on our entire culture. Everything sucked after that. Just brown. It was all brown. We lived in a brown culture that had not been seen since like the early 70s. Everything was brown again.
Everything was like brown, kind of like vague, corporate future chic, a lot of tinted glass buildings. You notice that? It seemed like all those glass panel buildings they built in New York, they all kind of had like a weird yellowish sheen to them. You remember that?
Well, because of the brown.
Right. Well, because
it was reflected in the windows.
Yeah.
And it looked yellow, but it was really brown.
And it was all yellow.
In Michael Mann's universe, all those windows are blue. They're nice and calm, like in Thief.
People don't realize that that's what that Coldplay song is about. It was about the color palette of the early 2000s. It was all yellow.
Oh, really? And then Eiffel 65 obviously wrote that one song about the color palette of the 90s.
Yeah.
Which was blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, neon pink and like in teal, like those like the singles cups. You remember that? You remember that? You remember
Sure.
that design?
Yeah, of course.
That was the 90s color palette, which maybe explains a lot of things about modern like YouTube set dressing these days.
Anyway, mine would be Ghost in the Shell, Redline, and Paprika.
Oh, I didn't know that we were choosing good movies.
So,
wait. I want to take it back. I was doing a bit.
No. So those are all, and just before anybody thinks anything disparaging, I am talking about the original cut, not the remake of Ghost in the Shell where they added the weird CGI. Even though that is also in the Criterion Collection, I just wanted to make that clear.
Wait, both versions or just the bad version?
No, both of them.
Okay.
Actually, all three, because the English dub counts as a separate cut.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. That makes sense to me. Now, did the Scarlett Johansson version make it into the Criterion Closet?
You know what? Not yet.
We're still banking on that. We have a phone tree working 24/7 to get that inducted into the Criterion Collection where it belongs. I remember you saying we went to go see that together in the theater when it came out. And I remember you looking over at me halfway through the movie and you said, this is the definitive version of Ghost in the Shell. This is my favorite version.
No, you are misremembering. I said this is the definitive version of the Ghost in the Shell poncho. This is my favorite Ghost in the Shell poncho, and I stand by that. It has the best poncho in the entire Ghost in the Shell universe. The TV shows, the movies, best poncho exists within that live action. The rest of it, obviously, I'm not a huge fan, but that poncho really killed it.
You would have bought that poncho if you could.
Scarlett Johansson is a good fit. I really liked her version, and here's my connection to Criterion because, Jonathan Glazer, I just watched Jonathan Glazer's Sexy Beast. You ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
It's great. It's really great. It's sort of like a post-gangster, like heist revenge movie, sort of. It's brilliant, though, because the entire movie is kind of like Ian McShane sets up this like bank heist, right? And you kind of get the feeling like the movie tricks you into thinking it's going to be a bank heist movie with Ian McShane leading these like, geezers on this bank heist. And then the actual heist in the movie is a 10-minute sequence where nothing goes wrong. And the rest of the movie is Ben Kingsley being an absolute psychopath. It's great. It's a really great movie. It's a really, really great movie. I enjoyed it quite a lot. But as we all know, he also went ahead and made my other favorite Ghost in the Shell movie, which is Under the Skin. Do you remember that?
Yeah, with Scarlett Johansson.
With Scarlett she's reprising her role as the Major.
These are shared universe productions.
Yeah. I mean, the movie implies that she's an alien, but we know that she's a machine intelligence for sure. It's got to be, and she's leading human beings into a sort of like pool of digestive goo, which is the only way to sustain a machine intelligence.
Sure.
I mean, you've seen The Matrix, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's just how black, like viscous goo is just how machines live.
Yeah.
It's like their blood or something.
Yeah.
Crack open any machine in your house right now, and I swear black nightmare goo will flow out of it.
If you opened up Motoko Kusanagi, it's just goo in there.
It's just goo.
There's like a layer of weird shit, and then it's
and
goo.
we see her getting made at the beginning of the movie. We see her getting put together, and guess what? We see the goo go in. We see it's there.
Anyway, there's a couple movies missing from the Criterion Collection's anime Hall of Fame, I do have to say. I went with those because those are most immediately available. If you go to the Criterion Collection and you search anime...
What do they have in there? You've brought this up before, and it's not an extensive collection.
They've got Ghost in the Shell.
Okay.
Redline, which, by the way, is a perfect movie. I rewatched that recently. It is a perfect movie.
Vroom, vroom.
They've got Paprika, and then they've got something called Tamala 2010, A Punk Cat in Space, which I also watched recently and is absolutely fucking crazy. I wish I had watched it earlier in my anime career because it is jaw-dropping. I could not believe what I was seeing. Everybody should give that a shot.
All of those sound like perfectly reasonable, selections, but it's kind of sparse, don't you think? That's 4 titles?
Well, I could think of, off the top of my head, I could think of a few that I would include personally.
I mean, I think let's just take a minute here and maybe each think of like 5, 4 or 5 that
5?
we think. You think that's too much? Let's think of 3. Let's think of 3 that we would both want to see like legitimately included in the Criterion Collection.
Okay. 3 is the magic number.
Yeah. I'll go first. Obviously, I think Dead Leaves should be in there. Dead Leaves is a wild fucking ride. And if you like, the pacing and like frenetic energy of stuff like Redline, I think this is very much in line with that. But even weirder because it's got my favorite thing in the world, which is a TV-headed dude. TV head guy.
Yes, and if you I think if you bundled that with Hells, then you'd have a real good time.
Yeah,
love both of those movies. I think if you smush them together, that is like one Criterion Collection movie. I mean, Cat Soup, I think, is one of the most obvious choices. It's sort of in, I hesitate from saying something like Genius Party, right? Because those are anthologies. Neo Tokyo is an anthology.
Sure.
I feel like generally it feels like you're cheating when you include anthologies. But Cat Soup has the kind of experimental, frenetic energy of those early anthology movies, but is a complete piece of work. And it allows, the viewer to make up their own story, which we love.
Leave as much up to viewer interpretation as possible. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
I think that I would definitely include They have Ghost in the Shell in there. I think that they should include Ghost in the Shell too, because that's the weirder one, and therefore for me that's the cooler one.
You like the more boring one.
Yeah, it's not the more boring one if you go with it. If you go into it with the right kind of eyes and the right point of view, okay? It's not going to be a sci-fi cyberpunk action thriller like the first one, but it's got a lot of really cool stuff in there, and it really expands on that concept of like, if an AI, an actual real AI, an artificial intelligence became self-aware and tried to like meld itself with that of a human intelligence, the resulting product would be like alien at best. It would
like an alien,
like an alien, or like in Under the Skin,
or like in Under the Skin.
Yeah,
which seems like an alien but is an AI.
Yeah, basically.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, we're pretty sure on that one.
I would say it's a better fit for the Criterion Collection than the original movie because it is more boring.
Is that one of the criteria for the Criterion?
For the Criterion Collection? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. That's why it surprised me that Redline is one of the anime picks, honestly.
Yeah, it's got to be boring.
Not a single frame of Redline that is boring. I would obviously pick as my second choice something like Mamoru Oshii's other film, Angel's Egg.
Yeah, Angel's Egg, which he did in collaboration with... blanking on his name, but the guy who did all of the concept art for the early Final Fantasies, Yoshitaka Amano. There, it came to me.
Amano, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
That was his big collaboration with Mamoru Oshii.
Yes. And again, it meets both of those criterias. The audience gets to choose what the story is, and it's kind of boring. Well, it's a perfect Criterion Collection movie.
I mean, if we're going with that, then I think my third pick would have to be the Revolutionary Girl Utena movie, because it is like long and boring and almost imperceptibly clouded by visual metaphor and magical realism. You really. You can't tell what's going on in that movie, and then the lesbians turn into cars at the end, and they drive away, but they don't turn into Subarus, so, I'm not sure exactly what that means. They turn into, like, hot rod muscle cars. Anyway, I would include the Revolutionary Girl Utena movie. That movie kicked ass.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in Redline, he drives a Trans Am. Everybody else is driving, like, F-Zero jet cars, and he drives a Trans Am. So I think that might explain it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense for me.
Yeah. I guess for my final pick, I would probably go with something like the first Pokemon movie, just to mix it up.
I was gonna say that.
The Criterion Collection is about variety. It's not about what's best. It's about a spread of influential pictures. And what is more influential on the American demented child mind than the first Pokemon movie?
I was going to say that, and I'm like, no, that would come off too much like a joke answer. But then, you did the layup for me. So thank you for that.
Sorry, I did it.
Yeah, no, I would legitimately include the Pokemon movie, just because,
dude, he turns into fucking stone.
He gets turned into stone at the end, and it makes Pikachu cry, and his Pikachu tears turn him back into a human boy.
You didn't know that? You didn't see that shit coming?
No, no one knew at the time. No one knew that Pikachu had magic tears.
Doesn't happen in the game.
They never revisit it.
Not a move he can learn. It's not a TM.
Yeah. It's a one-time deal, really, which implies that a Pokemon god exists and grants miracles in times of great need. That's my interpretation.
That doesn't need to be inferred. I mean, that's what Mew is.
No.
Mew is the Pokemon god.
Mew is not the Pokemon god. Mew is more like the Pokemon Ubermensch.
Well, no, the way I interpret the movie is that Mew is like Jesus Christ, like sent down from heaven as God's representative on Earth, who suffers in order to redeem all of Pokemon. And Mewtwo is like Lucifer, an antichrist, right? Who is sent down to Earth in order to provide an example of suffering. And that's sort of why Pikachu cries, because it's like, Jesus wept.
Now, how does this fit in with the Dialga cosmology? Because in the, in the Pearl and Diamond generation, they do introduce like actual literal Pokemon gods, like divine beings that you can catch in a Pokeball.
Yeah, I feel like they're more like like the Book of Revelations, just kind of like a bunch of crazy mush.
Dialga is the 7-headed dragon to the east.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's like anything that you can't quite explain in the neat timeline, you just shove into Revelations, and it's just some like wacky shit.
Kind of like the Nostradamus predictions.
Yeah, and the Nostradamus stuff. I mean, 666. It's like, what even is that? It's just wacky. It's just a wacky thing.
It's just metal, is what it is. Like, have you ever just seen 3 6s together? Because they look kick-ass. It's a cool design. Like, it just looks cool.
They should really do a Left Behind anime.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Yeah. I mean, did you see The Leftovers?
No.
Because I love that show. They should, like an anime version of that would be truly great. Truly great.
Now, was The Leftovers explicitly Christian, or was it like, agnostic Left Behind?
It's like agnostic Left Behind. It's more of a prestige like drama, so it doesn't lean super hard into like evangelizing, but it certainly plays with the idea of God as a philosophical concept, which is what makes it prestige TV.
I had to read one of those Left Behind books when I went to Catholic school as a kid, and
gross.
I know. And they lean real hard into the moralizing aspect. I know, big surprise. But it's like the book is basically divided up into chapters that each follow a POV character as their experience, as they experience getting left behind and like seeing their family and loved ones disappear. Like right before their eyes,
yeah,
which they do in a very comical way. Like they literally poof out of their clothes, and their clothes just fall to the ground like limp. Like,
yeah, it's pretty sick.
Everybody's naked up in heaven. They make that very, very clear. And every time that like you get a little character's like story, once their little arc gets completed by the end of the book, it's always like, man, I shouldn't have talked back to my parents. I hate being left behind.
Were the books not called A Thief in the Night?
No, the series was called Left Behind.
Oh.
And the first book in the series was called Left Behind.
Because A Thief in the Night is also a Rapture movie, and I thought that was also based on a book.
It could be, but it was not based on Left Behind.
Because the thief in the night, that's how the rapture is described in the Bible.
People just disappearing out of their clothes.
They're gone like a thief in the night. Pretty good, right?
Oh.
Hey, I don't believe in any of that shit, but sometimes there's some good shit in there. Sometimes you get a couple lines off and you're like, damn.
I mean, Revelation, I think, is the most action-packed chapter in the Bible. It's got dragons and explosions, lakes of fire.
It's more that it has all the good iconography. I don't think it makes a good story, though. Like this, there's no plot to speak of in Revelations. It's just like here's some crazy shit. You ever think about this? At least the Jesus stuff has some plot. There's some movement there.
I mean, they have to really lean on that one. They retell the same story 4 times. It makes up like 25% of the whole book.
Yeah, I know. You get, if you want variety, you go Old Testament. You got all kinds of shit in there.
That's where the real freaky shit happens.
That's where the real freaky shit happens. And God's a real fucking asshole.
Yeah,
that's the only reason people like Jesus, is because you go through the Old Testament to get to the New Testament. And by the time you get there, you're like, damn, this dude sucks. This guy fucking sucks.
The whole Job thing doesn't do him a lot of favors in public opinion, in my view.
Plenty of Criterion Collection movies about this exact concept, by the way.
Yeah, lots of them out there.
Probably like half of them, to be honest.
Okay, that's enough about anime movies of the past.
Soon to be joining the Criterion Collection, I'm sure. I'm not on the selection committee, but I would be ineligible to be a closet pick guest if I was. So count your blessings, right? Silver linings. Mononoke, the 12 episode anime from, I want to say 2008. Could that be true?
I think that's right. Maybe even 2007.
2007, 2008, which was a spin-off of an anthology series, Wink Wink, coming back around. Released a movie last year called The Phantom of the Rain. This is like the long-awaited sequel to the 12-episode run, which was the classic combination of extremely good and basically unwatched. Phantom of the Rain was straight to Netflix, I believe, for some bizarre reason. I don't know how Netflix got involved here.
I think that they're just kind of in the business of picking up any recognizable IP that they can. They're, we've talked about it a little bit before in the show. Netflix has been going real hard in like the last 3-4 years of not only like having anime as a prominent category in their search results, but also being like a English distributor for bringing over new stuff. They're not just licensing. They are essentially in a death roll with Crunchyroll. Yeah,
both heading straight to hell.
And they've picked up some big titles. Netflix is the one that got the Western distribution rights for Dungeon Meshi, for the Cyberpunk anime. They've been doing, that work with Trigger, which is always appreciated. You know how we feel about Trigger here. I think Frieren was a Netflix show. So they're really trying to pick up what they think are going to be the prestige shows for a given season. Hikaru, the summer Hikaru died, that's a Netflix show.
Yeah. To all of our great detriment, to be honest. This is not going to work out good for us going forward, I promise you. But in the meantime, at least they're bringing us Mononoke. The first movie, Phantom in the Rain, was fucking great. I think I must have talked about it at the time. It was very weird. As a episode of the show, it was even more standoffish. You watched the show, right?
I haven't seen Mononoke yet, no.
Oh, geez, you had all this time. You literally had a year since I talked about this movie last, and you still haven't watched it. It's 12 episodes. It's like one of the best pieces of animation ever made. God, damn.
I just recently got around to watching Kaiba, so cut me some slack, okay?
Well, you're going to have to get on it now because a third movie is on the way, and it's coming out next year. So you better have finished all of this shit by a year from now.
All right, setting into my calendar right now.
Yeah, you better. Mononoke, the show is... I would never describe the show as impenetrable. I think it's actually, it has sort of a procedural aspect to it, kind of even codified into the show. The mysterious medicine seller arrives at a spot of supernatural intrigue and very explicitly lays out the rules of his, I guess, exorcism. I'm not sure how he would describe it that way, but essentially a resolution to the mystery. And he has 3 stages he constantly repeats in every episode, which is he has to determine the form, the reason, and the truth of each, Mononoke.
Which is like a spirit, basically.
Yeah, it's like distinct from a yokai, but I guess there's some overlap there. There's an interplay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember last time you described this to me, I likened it structurally to how stuff like Mushishi plays out. They're kind of the same general concept of a spiritualist who goes and solves supernatural predicaments in different like episodic ways.
Yeah, they're procedurals. They're very much almost kind of like very classic detective mystery stories, really.
The Thinking Man's Hawaii Five-0.
Well, if the medicine seller wasn't an insane tatted up like anime boy, he could be Columbo in a lot of ways, you know? He kind of like dodders around the sides and like pokes people until they just like spill everything, you know?
Oh, just one more thing though before I go.
The difference between him and Columbo really comes down to the fact that Columbo never goes Super Saiyan. It's really the only difference. Unless you consider when Columbo like goes into somebody's kitchen and like starts throwing food on the ground, like him going Super Saiyan.
It's kind of the same thing.
Although
I'm trying to imagine Columbo as like having the blonde spiky hair, and it is very funny.
What if Columbo was exactly the same, except when he decides to finally out the criminal, he drew a sword of truth? That would be pretty sick.
His eyes start glowing white, and he starts like his aura starts sparking.
Yeah, that would be fucking great. Luckily for us, we have Mononoke, and in the show, I think they're all like 23 minutes long, so it's pretty zippy, and also it's a lot of fun. You're introduced to a quick cast of characters. You go through their stories. There's also an element where each of the 12 episodes progresses through time, because the medicine sellers is sort of a timeless creature that drifts throughout history. And as the show approaches the final episode, we reach the Showa era, right?
Sure, you know, all those eras that we know all about.
All those eras. I think, what's the train one? That's Showa, right?
Yeah. I think so. Sure.
I think so. A train, that's got to be Showa, right? Because the final episode it does take place on a train, and it's very fun. It's a ghost train. Take that, Demon Slayer, you fucking ripoff.
So the Showa era started in 1928. Like, that's a little bit after the time of trains, I would say.
Okay.
So
what about women wearing pants?
Yeah, that's definitely Showa era.
That's got to be Showa, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're in the women wearing pants era.
Yeah, and women have like jobs and stuff. There's a woman detective in that episode.
Oh, wow.
Not detective. She's a newspaper reporter. Kind of a plucky Lois Lane type.
Okay. Like an April O'Neil.
Sure. I like Lois Lane better, but sure. Why not? Those episodes are pretty zippy. The transition into a movie, I feel like, is really interesting because suddenly they're working with like an hour 20. They're not long. They're like an hour 20. You know how I feel about 80-minute movies.
Keep nice and snappy, you know?
Like Chef's Kiss.
Yeah.
But compared to an episode of television, a 23-minute episode, it has a lot of room to breathe. And what I really liked about the first movie is that it gives us more time to develop the characters because, again, the medicine seller is... he's like a weirdo. He's like a weirdo who drifts through time and space. So there's not a lot to connect there, even though I like him quite a lot. He's not a proper character.
Well, no, he is more of something that happens to the plot instead of being like a central POV.
Yeah, exactly. So having an hour to develop feelings for these people whose lives are being annihilated by Mononoke is hugely helpful to enjoying these movies. But getting back to the standoffish nature, it also means that there is a lot more room for almost like interpretive dance style plot telling. It is tone poem-esque.
Okay. All right.
It is filled with overflowing with like visual metaphor.
It's the beat poetry of anime.
Yeah, not that it goes that far that it's like, you know, incomprehensible. You don't have to do like a serious amount of legwork to understand what's happening, but large parts of it are interpretive poetry, visual interpretive poetry, which I happen to like quite a lot.
Sure.
You know, things are happening. And like we said before, it is up to you to decide what is going on.
Yeah. No, again, if you're doing a visual medium, like put stuff on the screen that is cool and interesting. We cannot say this enough.
And what I like about Mononoke is that there is not a single frame in the entire hour 20 that is not fun to look at. And there's like 30 of these things a second. So that's bang for your buck right there.
You know, for the amount of anime movies that you and I have watched, and anime in general, and just like, you know, I guess animation in general, it's staggering to think how safe visually so much of it decides to play itself, right? Because like we're saying, you have stuff like Redline, and you have stuff like Mononoke, and
A third one.
I was going to say Walk On Girl, The Night Is Long, but it's a long title.
Sure.
And it took me a while to remember all of it.
Tech on Kingcrete.
Yeah, Tech on Kingcrete. Those are stuff that very intentionally is like trying to play around and push the boundaries of how it animates stuff. It is making itself look weird and cool and taking like visual risks. And then on the other end, you have like the Makoto Shinkai movies where people seem to, they look great. You know, visually, I like those movies. They're very well animated, but character designs are like the most lab grown, factory assembled, idyllic version of what like anime characters are supposed to look like. And then
Makoto Shinkai built, he has the canonical anime character.
Yeah. Like he is the platonic ideal of anime girl. He created that.
I think the girl who leapt through time like permanently warped what anime girl faces like are supposed to be.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. And, you know, the other aspect that I was trying to get at was like you have all these people that are praising the animators for their super detailed background mats that they use, which are like these painstakingly hyper realistic water painting colors of actual real places. And so you have like this focus on trying to make it as down to earth and relatable and anime-esque like marketable as possible. And then on the other end, you have stuff like those other movies that we talked about, like Tech on Kingcrete and all that, which are weird and cool and like playing around with the concept of animation with the way they present their story, which is what I'm always more in favor of.
Yeah, we're obviously super biased because we've talked about it a million times where we prefer, like how Masaki Yuasa is my favorite animator, and his entire thesis of anime is that it's motion, it's things moving.
Yeah,
and you have to make things move.
It's almost like the drawings are animated somehow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like the way that they like move around and interact silhouette wise and shape wise. It's what makes it truly interesting to look at, and not necessarily the detail of like the ruffles on the clothing or whatever. Not that stuff is bad, but that there is an opportunity cost when you're spending millions of dollars putting together an hour and a half of pictures.
Yeah. Yes.
And Mononoke is the hyper extension of that idea, because everything is an assault, a visual assault. Every square inch of the screen is texture and pattern and color, and all those things are in movement constantly, even if they are solitary, the solitary unmoving things like props. A bridge moves underneath the people walking on top of it. Water is always in movement. People are always in movement. Carpets are always in movement. Roofs are always in movement. Like the paper that the drawings are being drawn on are in movement in Mononoke.
This may be
incredible.
This may be a stretch of a comparison, but the clips I've seen of Mononoke always bring to mind to me
Genkotsuwa.
Well, I was gonna say The Thief and the Cobbler, which uses a lot of that same like visual language, you know, in the way it presents, you know, things moving. Everything is constantly like in motion and textured and colorful in that movie in the same way that Mononoke seems to be trying to do or is doing.
The Golden Balls sequence,
I love that so much.
The Thief and the Cobbler is probably as close as a Western animation has ever gotten to the way Mononoke moves and looks.
And you see what Disney did to that one.
Well, yeah. It's fucking great. It's really what a great movie. What's really cool about that and the way that Mononoke is just like assaulting you is that when it does stand still, it is incredibly impactful. And there are moments of like truly like dramatic peak where when the movie does stop and gives you a second to catch your breath and think about everything that you've seen so far, which is great because there's always a moment again in these procedurals, right, where like the action stops and you are allowed to like try to think through the mystery. And doing that visually is very difficult, and they make it look so easy in Mononoke. It's crazy. It's genuinely insane. And these two movies are part of a trilogy about an oku. The imperial harem.
Okay.
Kinky. Where the women I don't know. Is it disrespectful to call it a brothel? It's not a brothel. It's
no. A brothel is something where you pay for services.
Yeah.
It's what you're thinking of are slaves. They're sex slaves.
Concubines. It's where the emperor's concubines live, and traditionally men are not allowed inside. And so, what's also interesting about these stories is that these are super female focused, and there's a lot of like. Almost entirely, both of the plots of these movies are like sexual politics, which is also a very interesting subject for these movies to tackle.
I mean, I think it's fun. Just I'm assuming that it doesn't tackle them with the way 90% of anime tackles like sexuality and sexual politics in their stories, which is to have the main character be a giant perv, and that is our lens into how these things are viewed.
No one is a giant perv except for maybe like one of the bad guys, I guess.
Listen, when they're bad, you call them lascivious.
Yes, absolutely. Very lascivious. But not even that so much. I mean, the stories really aren't about that. And also, all these women are concubines to the emperor, so like, you're not getting in the middle of that. That's bad. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
But it gives really interesting the combination of sort of the politics of the empire and the idea that these inner chambers, these dormitories for concubines can be likened to sort of a make work program, and a sort of not a prison, but once the women enter it, they don't really leave alive.
Now, I'm going to stop you there because, I mean, that doesn't sound like a prison. I mean, it does, but you added the qualifier of not leaving alive, usually.
Usually.
And so that sounds like worse than a prison. That sounds like a dungeon. What you're describing is a dungeon.
Sure, okay. It's like a woman dungeon.
It's like a women's dungeon.
It's a women's dungeon. Dungeon lady. The first movie is sort of about like entry level concubines and the pain of just being a laborer, having these grand dreams of like, you know, getting with an emperor and ending up being a girl who scrubs floors for the rest of your life, right?
Right. I mean,
and the second movie takes on the other side of that, which is women who have gotten too close to the emperor, right? And suddenly are engulfed in incredibly dangerous politics, right? About succession and all that. Yes, imperial intrigue, truly, literally court intrigue.
Isn't that why people like Diary of an Apothecary so much? Isn't that like the basic plot of that anime?
Yeah. She's a worker. She is not a concubine by definition. In that she is a worker who happens to know a little bit of medicine. So like there's kind of a connection there. These women are specifically concubines.
Okay.
And this movie, that first one is highly interpretive, and I would say a lot of it is at the viewer's discretion to put together themselves. This one is a little more gentle than that. Like I said, less standoffish in that way. This one is the plot is much easier to follow if you want a clear telling of the story. So I think putting these together, this really is sort of the middle chapter where you can kind of be like, okay, I'm taking it easy. I know everything's being laid out in front of me as we kind of rocket towards whatever the conclusion is going to be. I have no fucking clue how this can wrap up because it's baffling. It is like batshit insane, the things that are happening in this thing.
I mean, just from what I've seen, what I know about it, it sounds very steeped in like mysticism and like Shinto religious imagery, which can all get very weird. I assume that I don't know. Yeah, at some point in the series, not just the movies, but did you ever fight it like a fox demon that's trying to steal somebody's dreams? I assume.
Oh, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. People's trauma, etc. The reason these movies are set in an oku is because almost all the stories are based on the idea of bad vibes festering too long, right? That's a big thing with these kinds of stories.
Well, I think not just these kinds of stories. I think that's kind of like a general theme in a lot of like Japanese fantasy and horror. You know, like that's The Grudge, The Ring, Pulse. All of that is about like bad vibes basically infecting, symbols of modernism, video, internet, telephones, apartment buildings, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, it's the framework is there.
Yeah. And Anoku gives an incredible opportunity to just let all kinds of different bad vibes fester until they explode into death-dealing Mononoke.
Dope.
Yeah, and like everyone...
No, actually, I think it's cool when that happens.
I think it's cool when that happens.
Yeah.
I do. I think it is cool. It's cool to look at least. And like the best Agatha Christie stories, you have a big cast of characters who, despite knowing that telling the truth would probably save their lives, decide to lie over and over and over again about everything, which is very entertaining. It's very entertaining to watch. And we watch the medicine seller just fucking call people's bullshit out over and over again. And by calling people's bullshit out, he like peels back the layers of the sexual politics of this place and kind of get down to like how these characters feel about their predicaments, which is the main emotional and political intrigue of the movie. And it's very, very effective. You can draw your own conclusions after you watch the movie about, the messages being delivered by the climax, but getting there is incredibly fun. And you will not see anything like this anywhere else. Not until the third one comes out anyway. The pair of these movies, and I assume the third one, but I really shouldn't talk about an unreleased movie. These are like the good shit. I know I said that last time, and I say that about a lot of stuff, but like this is the good shit.
I mean, you got to be careful though. What if the third one comes out and it's like Snyder cut levels of bad? We don't know. We don't know about it yet.
It's true. That's why I want to play it safe here. I'll stick to the first two. The first two, these are the good shit. People are always like, I want good anime. I want to watch the good stuff. I want to watch good anime. It's like it's here. It's right here.
So are we starting the petition today to get the Mononoke series added to the Criterion Closet so that I can watch Margaret Qualley talk about anime that she's never seen on the Criterion channel.
I don't think we need to petition. I think honestly, this is the kind of thing that will just make its presence known over time. I think the first one only came out last year. I don't think Criterion usually has TV shows, but if they did, I bet there would be nods. You know what I mean? Like, it's genuinely arresting.
If Criterion had TV shows, it would be Mononoke and it would be all 7 seasons of House. Only those 2.
And only because Massive Attack's Teardrop is the theme song.
Yeah, absolutely. Great theme song. Yeah. Top of the industry, really.
I will never stop saying, like, the only reason people like most stuff is because they like the music.
Hey, I stuck around for True Blood for way too long because the intro was way too good.
Yeah, it's great. And every time House comes on, you hear the best part of Teardrop. You're like, damn, do I actually like this? This is great.
Do I actually like House, or do I just like the theme song?
Yeah.
I maintain there's no difference between those answers. To those questions.
You watch Star Wars and you hear the theme and you're like, damn, I like Star Wars. You don't like it, you like the theme. The theme is good.
No, you just like the sound of Star Wars. You don't like it. Nobody likes Star Wars. They just like the John Williams track.
You like John Williams. This is many such cases.
How's the theme song for the Mononoke series?
It's fucking great. What's crazy about these movies is that, and when does this ever happen? The music reflects the animation. They mesh perfect. It's almost like the audio techniques the theme uses are the exact same things that are used visually in the movie. I don't even know how to describe it succinctly because you just have to see them in unison to understand. But as somebody who produces music from time to time, it is a phenomenal achievement.
All right, you've convinced me.
Hands down.
I'll watch Mononoke. I'll watch it. All right. You don't have to keep twisting my arm. I'll do it.
This shit's great. And you know what? What's really nice, because the other thing I watched Netflix-wise is I watched My Happy Marriage. And My Happy Marriage's sexual politics are interesting, but in like the exact polar opposite way as presented in these 2 Mononoke movies.
Well, you were telling me a little bit about My Happy Marriage, I think, last episode, and it sounded like it wasn't that happy of a marriage, if I'm being perfectly honest.
You know, I guess by the last episode I watched, it seemed like maybe they were kind of gearing towards a happy marriage.
Because
I might have, if I talked about it, I might have mentioned that they do not, in the entire first season, they do not get married. Nobody gets married.
A bit of a false moniker there.
They're doing that weird extended courtship thing.
Sure. If I remember correctly, she's arranged to be engaged to this like officer guy in the vaguely World War I-ish magic military. Is that right? There's like magic, but there's also like vague European global politics going on.
It's also in the Showa era, early Showa. Like they're driving, early cars around. Like people have cars. And she's wearing like, she wears a summer dress for the first time. And she's like, oh, this is kind of scandalous.
Then that would actually be the Taisho period, 1912 to 1926.
You tell me, man.
I am. I just told you.
You tell me, man. Whatever you say, man.
Whatever you say, man. You're the expert.
If you say it, you've read the books, college boy. But she's like, kind of like a self-imposed concubine. It sounds mean. Because she's sent away by her dad. And, like, it's not necessarily her choice. But once she makes it in there, into the dude's house, she's like imprisoned by this like false consciousness of I need to be a good housewife.
Oh,
which is
so-
code for like domestic worker.
Yeah, so she's just brainwashed by the culture, basically.
Well, I would say, considering her goal in the show is to be like, I need to, her entire motivation, and I cannot stress this enough, her entire motivation, and what is framed as her like liberation is her wifely education, which is provided to her by the dude's own sister.
I don't like any of those words together.
I don't like it either. But she like develops super magic powers and stuff, and like that's not interesting to her. What's interesting to her is like learning how to be a good wife. Like how to make small talk at your husband's like work party. That's what she finds truly fulfilling.
This is like the absolute tonal opposite of like literally every other like, constrained housewife discovers that she has amazing magical ability, like fantasy escapism stories.
Yes, which turns out to be like liberatory.
Liberatory. This is going the absolute opposite direction. It's like, why do I want to bother with all this magic stuff? I got a husband to please.
It is exactly the opposite.
That's so weird.
Yes.
That's so weird.
In fact, people are constantly trying to like liberate her using her magic powers. And she's like, no, I have wifely duties to attend to. I can't go off and be a magic person.
I mean, does she even like this guy, or is she just like in it because like, oh, that's the way the cards were dealt. I guess he's my arranged marriage.
It is a bit of that, but here's the secret sauce. He's super hot. And hyper capable.
So she really lucked out with that one.
Yeah, he's also like smart and gentle and kind. But that's
he's a rich officer. And is he a noble? Is he of noble blood as well?
Yes, he comes from a distinguished family, and also he's a little bit standoffish. But once you get past the icy exterior, he has like a warm heart.
God damn, I hate this dude.
Yeah. it's the whole package. He's got the whole shit. It's fun too because like when she was being like Cinderella'd by her stepsister and stepmom, she had a dude that she like was crushing on her and she was crushing on him, and he gets almost immediately cucked.
Jeez.
Like very, very explicitly. Like I love to use that word, but like this is as applicable as it gets.
So she was into this guy, and then as soon as the arranged marriage thing happened, she's like, well, see ya. Well,
there are circumstances. I mean, in sort of a spiteful move, her father has her stepsister marry the dude she's into to like really rub it in, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
It's messed up. It's pretty messed up. Her stepsister has like blonde hair, and she's like a kind of a spoiled brat. It's like it's like the whole thing.
The whole package, yeah.
And she's the put upon, like dainty, perfect lady who nevertheless has to like mend her own clothing, and never talks back because she's a proper lady. And then goes and lives with this dude.
Let me ask you this: who is My Happy Marriage appealing to? Like, who is this story for in your mind?
It's difficult because the first connection I think of is like Outlander.
Yeah, I thought of that as well. Or any other of the variations of sexy time traveling period piece men. It's a whole subgenre of fiction. It makes up most of published books these days, if we're being honest.
It's a lot, but it's like, there is this magical intrigue. So you have the fantasy side covered, but at the same time, it's a bit of Jane Austen, right? Mm-hmm, you got a lot of like the Jane Austen, there's some Pride and Prejudice going on here, but there's danger too, because there's like evil ghosts that they have to use telekinetic powers against. Which Pride and Prejudice, I know they did the Pride and Prejudice and Zombies thing, which was corny as hell and sucked.
I didn't even like it at the time. I didn't think it was that funny of a concept.
Yeah, and it's not funny.
And then they made a sequel book, for that other Jane Austen book that I can't remember. What was the sequel to Pride and Prejudice?
I don't think there was a sequel to Pride and Prejudice. I think you're thinking of a different book.
It could be. I can't read.
Let's see. Sense and Sensibility, maybe?
Yeah. They,
is that the one you were thinking of?
Yes, they made Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters. That was the follow-up to Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks and is bad.
Not a gimmick you can ride for a long time.
Yeah, like the Abraham Lincoln vampire hunter thing.
They made a movie about that with Daniel Day-Lewis.
What a tragedy that this is how we're using the world's greatest actor. It's like Gangs of New York all over again.
I should rewatch that. I like that movie.
Oh yeah, he doesn't.
Really? He hates that movie?
Yeah, he doesn't like that movie, man.
Really?
He does not like that movie. Yep.
I had no idea that Daniel Day-Lewis has bad taste in movies.
He felt like he got tricked by Scorsese.
Tricked to how? Into being in the movie?
That Scorsese was going to make a very serious, like, period piece. And it did, obviously that's not what he did. He made an insane movie.
Yeah. I wouldn't have it any other way. When was the last time you watched Gangs of New York? Because it's weird and, it's funny. It's a joke. The movie is a joke.
That was not the movie that he wanted to do at all. He was pissed off about that.
Wow.
Yeah, go watch an interview.
Never mind. I take it back. I hate Daniel Day-Lewis.
You hate the D-Day?
Yeah. I hate D-Day. Oh.
Damn Daniel.
So, yeah, I don't know. Is this is this like an Outlander type fiction appealing to like magical realism in the like female fantasy space? Or is this for dudes who want like an action fantasy anime where you fight ghosts with psychic powers and then also you get like a cool trad wife at the end?
Well, it splits the difference, but the only thing it really accomplishes is that it waters down both elements, in my opinion. And the romance stuff does end up like coming out on top in that kind of wrestle match, because the fantasy stuff makes no sense and sucks. Like, it's really bad.
Yeah, it almost always is.
Yeah. And
that's not a genre-specific statement. That's just like in anime, most of the fantasy stuff like kind of sucks. I feel comfortable saying that.
It's really half-assed and tacked on, and like there's a point near the end of the first season where it becomes like the main plot, and that's by far the worst thing in the entire run. Is when they try to make the fantasy stuff like the main plot. It sucks. It falls completely flat. None of it's interesting. Like, an evil emperor shows up and there's like sacred rituals being performed. You're like, I don't buy any of this shit, and it sucks. And also, it totally sidelines the only interesting thing, which is like the romance here, which was not exactly blasting along, and now you've slowed it down even further to do like a little magic duel thing, and it's like, come on, man.
If I was the head of that studio, I would be so embarrassed right now seeing my like fantasy romance epic story getting absolutely bodied in ratings every week by The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, where nothing happens, when absolutely nothing happens, and it's just like
you would have been better off doing nothing.
Yeah. Like, oh, you didn't, like, why'd you put all of that stuff in there? You didn't have to do that. Like,
nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. They just want the couple, like, doing cute things together. That's all they want. It's the only thing they're there for. You wasted your time, you wasted your employees' time, and you're wasting the audience's time by not just showing all of that and getting rid of all of the other stuff, all of the fantasy stuff.
Bizarre choices all around, especially because I think the fantasy stuff is there to kind of draw the attention of people who wouldn't necessarily want to watch Pride and Prejudice, the anime. But at the same time, they called the show My Happy Marriage, which is like, what? Who does that appeal to?
Maybe it should have been called, like, I don't know, My Happy Psychic Ghost Fighting Battles. Is that
My Psychic Ghost Marriage Fighting Battle?
Does that have a better ring to it? Does that like sell it more just as a concept? Maybe.
My Psychic Wife would have been a better title, or My Psychic Husband.
They're both psychic. They both have psychic ghost powers.
My Psychic Marriage.
Yeah, there we go. My Psychic Marriage.
Yeah,
that's way better.
Psychic Marriage is such a better title.
No one cares if your marriage is happy. I want to know if it's psychic or not.
Yeah, also it's not. And they don't get married. So it like what are you people doing?
I hate this show.
I hate this show. And like I said, it's a great foil to Princess Mononoke. Cuz it is like the exact opposite in every regard. It is like not very fun or interesting to look at. Like it's a show with psychic powers and ghosts, and like none of that. Like it's more interesting watching the girl take a car ride than it is watching them fight the ghosts with magic powers. The sexual politics are like bafflingly simplistic and do not question anything about this scenario. Like at no point is anything challenged. This is all taken for granted, and no complications emotionally or politically are introduced at all in the story in any way.
I mean, that's the definition of slop. Like that. This sounds like slop.
It is. And there's like, the conclusion is that they don't get married and he proposes, which he did like 8 episodes before he proposes for the second time.
Well, no, they got engaged to be engaged the first time. Now they're really engaged.
It's and they're both on Netflix too, which is really, so they're like sitting next to each other in the anime queue, which is really great. It's really great that anime is just kind of like all smushed together. Thanks, Netflix.
You're doing the Lord's work.
You're doing the Lord's work. Anyway, that's this was the Netflix anime roundup show brought to you by Netflix.
Please give us that sponsor money.
Please, hey, Netflix changed the rules, so now you have to pay extra if you're sharing an account. So, get all your anime watching in now, I guess. Start binging.
I already got iced out. I was leeching off of somebody else, and they caught me.
Yep. They're cutting people off left and right, man. But we love it. We love it, though. We love it.
We love you, Netflix.
We love it, and we're for it. Because they drop so much money in advertising on this show. Brought to you by Netflix.
Brought to you by Netflix.
By Netflix. And Netflix brought to you by your local post office. That's right. I'm living 20 years ago.
You're the one guy still getting DVDs from Netflix.
I'm still getting DVDs, baby. It's only like $5 extra on the account. You can get those Blu-rays.
All right. Is that enough? Is that enough anime for the week?
That's enough.
All right.
Shut it down.
All right, beautiful, tall, handsome listeners, thank you for sticking with us once again as we rant and rave against our corporate overlords, who we love and respect so much.
I actually love them.
Yeah,
I
we
love
actually.
them so much.
I'm in love with Netflix. It's a sexual relationship.
I'm really into them right now. I'm having such a Netflix summer.
Oh my God. Go download the episodes. Leave us comments on the YouTube page, on TikTok. We have an Instagram. We have a Blue Sky. Go check us out. All those places. If you don't, we're gonna have to start putting these calls of action at the start of the episode, so you can't escape them. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to start an episode that way. So
yeah, and I don't want to do all this shit myself. So do it. Please do it for us.
Yeah. All right. Until next week. Go watch Mononoke and don't watch other anime.
Jeez, just fucking do it.
Bye.